Hi! There are a lot of myths about daylight savings time, and I think today is a good day to straighten those out. You see, here's what really happened. You remember Harry Potter's Uncle Vernon, right? He had an ancestor that was trying to raise an army of insects in New Zealand in the early 1900s. This guy's name was George Vernon. Anyway, his special mutant ant army was very susceptible to cold and dark conditions. In fact, something about the mutation process made the giant ants, who were normally very violent and warlike, afraid of the dark. After the sun went down, they refused to do anything except hide under beds and grab children's ankles unexpectedly. One of these giant ants accidentally tripped through a hole in the universe when it was running from an angry teenage girl and ended up founding a university for bed monsters. Recently there was a movie about the fictionalized life of Mike Wazowski. It was a very controversial film because it glossed over a great many of the facts. But anyway, that Mike is a direct descendant of the original ant that accidentally fell through a hole between the universes created by painting tacky flowers on a closet door. But I digress. So Mr. Vernon wanted his ant army to take over New Zealand, but in the summertime the sun came up really early and he was not a morning person. He'd just get an invasion started at maybe 1 in the afternoon, and by the time all the ants were marching and chanting along to a really gruesome cadence, the sun would go down and they'd all hide and the whole thing would have to be started the next day. So he proposed a time change using some nonsense about productivity and safety of driving places in the evening and farmers getting crops in. Anyway, it was nonsense. But George was a great speaker, and pretty soon the whole world was setting the clock forward in the summer. However, the time change pissed off the ants, and it turns out that the ants, these mutant ants, aside from being afraid of the dark, were also really bad at dealing with sleep deprivation, and nobody had introduced them to the idea of coffee yet. So when Mr. Vernon tried to wake them up for their invasion, they attacked him instead of New Zealand. With George Vernon out of the picture, the ants were free to sleep whenever they wanted and pursue lives of leisure. Over the years, they intermarried with the local birds and beasts, producing some of the most interesting wildlife in the world. And that's what really happened. My name is Marilyn. This is Two Awesome Women, and I think you're awesome. Bye-bye.